Today we get behind some major topics in African sport. They say the art of conversation is to talk about the right thing at the right time, and this is the right place. You're watching The Conversation. Hi, I'm Alonge and I'm joined on Skype by ex-Super Eagle Seyi Olufanjana. We're going to be talking grassroots football, top end of football and general things that are affecting the success of the game in Nigeria.
Stephen Keshi, Sunday Olise, JJ Okocha, Nwanko Kanu, there is no end to the list of Nigerian footballing talent. But all the best-known players became famous when they moved overseas from the local Premier League. And an increasing exodus of Nigerian players to overseas clubs has officials and local players concerned. Joseph Emufo, captain for the Dolphin FC, explained that Nigerian prejudice against their own Premier League was forcing players overseas.
In Nigeria, if you are home base, they look you like rag, you know. That's why all players want to go to abroad to play. They believe when you play in abroad, you have the chance to play for the national team. That's the reason why everybody wants to go to abroad to play.
The rosy view of overseas contracts has meant that there is now almost a revolving door in Nigeria for footballing talent, according to Nigerian players.
Every season, Nigeria must produce player, every season. When the good one comes, good one will go. Another good one will come for the next season, it will also go. We are not praying for good one to come to remain. So I always pray for the good one to come to leave us and go and sign. Understand? We have a whole luck. Understand? If I have his own luck. If it's my time to leave, I will leave. It's not my time, I will still remain. I will not force things to happen.
Despite the exodus, however, Nigeria is still managing to attract foreign players to its own leagues.
We have players from Ghana, Senegal, Cameroon, Republic of Benin, Togo, and so on and so forth. But with the size of the country and with the talent we have in Nigeria, it's difficult for any foreign player to meet up.
Focus, however, should be placed on developing young talent from the grassroots, says Seyi Olufanjana, a former player for the national side, the Super Eagles. Nigeria has a variety of football academies in the country, but they are dogged by corruption and high costs, which means that poorer players can't get a look in. With only 4 days to the kickoff of the 2015 Nigeria Premier League season, local fans will be looking closely at the latest batch of new faces to see who might be the next Nigerian to make it to a top overseas team, unless the local league can quickly find ways to entice them to stay.
Hello, Seyi.
Hello, hi, how are you guys?
We're all doing very well here, very well, Seyi. Now, Seyi, I'd like to actually get straight into it. So, grassroots football. I mean, grassroots football is a term that's often heard. Anytime anyone's trying to talk about the development of the game, they always talk about, you know, you need to develop the grassroots, you need to develop the grassroots. Within Nigeria, everybody knows that grassroots football, there's a primary school and there's what goes on in schools. There's just real grassroots football as in the game that's played and enjoyed by people for free, towns, villages, cities, everywhere. And there's the clubs and their development. Now, can you tell us, from your perspective, you're an ex-international, you got to the top of the game in Nigeria, you're currently involved in academies. Can you define for us, within the Nigerian sporting world, what is the grassroots game?
Well, I've said it so many times in the media to a few people that care to listen, that if we're ever able to do anything in Africa with regards to our football going forward and our sports generally, grassroots is the way forward. Well, I think we're doing our bit with regards the Governors Corps and the secondary school football games and all that, all in the bid to sort of recruit the best talents and sort of get them going forward in terms of preparation for the big task ahead. But that said, I think a lot needs to be done in terms of making sure grassroots football takes a stand, like all the big European countries. Nigeria, for God's sake, we're crying out loud, it's a big footballing nation, and I think we need to do more in terms of getting our grassroots in order. There's nothing wrong with all the Premier League sides in the country. In Nigeria, for example, to have academy football, an academy is such that these players can sort of be groomed, they can be taught the right things at the right age, because a lot of us find out that when it is out until we get to the Premier League, or we get out of Africa to come to Europe and whatever you want to, whatever continent you're playing your trade, that's when we start learning the basics. But the earlier the better, in my opinion. We can go on talking about grassroots football from now till tomorrow. There's loads to talk about.
Okay, but then on that point that you made, we have, as you mentioned, each state in Nigeria has some form of governor's cup. Maybe the private primary schools in the area will have their own cup competition they play between themselves. The state schools have their own cup. So it seems that the platform's already there. What is missing?
Yeah, well, when this tournaments get played, what is the essence of the tournament? Does anybody knows about the prospectus being put in place for the tournament? Is it just for financial gain for the players? Is it to discover talent? If it's to discover talent, the talents that are discovered, where are they poked? Nobody gets to talk about them. Are they in a particular academy with a view to sort of developing them a little bit further? All here is the governor's cup, the secondary school games, and at the end of the day, they get the trophy, and that's the end of it. The very, very few of them will get handpicked by some academies, but there are loads of players out there. There are way too many of them out there. And I mean, the sooner we started making sure we put them in the right place, getting to teach them the right things from the very, very tender age, the better for everyone.
Okay, now, you yourself, you're an ex-pro, as you said, you got to the top of the game, you got to wear the green, white, green of your country and play and represent the hopes and dreams of millions, but you yourself now giving back to the game through your own academy. So tell us, firstly, tell us a bit about your academy, where it's based, and the sort of talent pool that you're currently dealing with.
Well, basically, the main and the major objective of the academy is to sort of get guys off the street and sort of give it a look back to the society, as well as building well-rounded individuals, if you like. Because I mean, we have 20, 25, sometimes 30 players within the academy, but regardless of talent, not all of them will make it, in my own opinion. Of course, they are good enough, but I mean, the market is so competitive. You can't guarantee all of them spaces to play abroad, to play even in the local league in Nigeria. But even if they don't make it, what we're trying to emphasize and build is to let them be individuals that will be responsible not just to themselves but to the society. So it goes way beyond kicking the game of football. It's structure and discipline and teaching them to be responsible individuals. Okay,
how do you do that? Are you working with schools? Are you working with charities? Are you working with the local churches, mosques? I mean, how do you go from, as you say, finding a kid on the street who, might not even know his own actual age, he might not be sure what age group he fits in, but you're trying to create a rounded individual. So how's the society within Nigeria helping you? Forget the clubs now, forget government. Who are you working with to create these individuals?
Well, I'm a firm believer in heaven helps only those who help themselves. Before you seek help, you must have done something to help yourself within reason. Then when people see, they can rally around you and sort of help you. At this present point in time, we do everything we do ourselves. We've not involved the government. Of course, they might have to come they might have to come to our aid at some point. But it's just a question of doing the best we can as ourselves to sort of get that foundation, get that platform going. Then we can build on it. You asked a fundamental question: how do we go about getting these guys up to where we want them to be? The first thing is to take them off the street. A lot of academies, and I don't mean to be brutal here. The funding is huge, and you got to take a lot of things into consideration. But what we have tried to do so far is get these guys off the street, house them, and teach them responsibilities. Teach them there are rules. There are certain times you wake up. There are certain times you're supposed to go for training. There are certain times you eat, and those are the sort of things I'm talking about. Now, we've not even mentioned football now. It's structure in life, which of course you will need, whether or not you play football.
So we'll carry on with that when we see you after the break. Okay, welcome back to the conversation. Sometimes when you're on the outside looking in, it's easy to assume that the only purpose of an academy is to find a talented player, sell that player, and guys like yourself or whoever's running the academy makes money. But you're really talking now and focusing, as we said, on defining what the grassroots objectives should be, which is, it's not just about the sport. But let me ask you, when it comes to something like football, a challenge for you has got to be that a lot of these boys, and I assume they're mostly boys or young men from time to time, are turning up and they are looking at your John Obi Mikel's, your Emmanuel Amunike's, and yourself, and they're only focused on succeeding as footballers. They're not I mean, how difficult is it to sell them the rest of what you think an academy should do?
Yeah, well, it starts from a very, very tender age, really. That problem will never go away. A lot of football players, not just in Africa, all over the world. I mean, I'm privileged to be coaching the Wolverhampton Wanderers under 15, under 16s at the moment, and it's the same problem. All they see is the flashy cars, the lovely boots, and all that, and it goes way beyond that. It's about you as an individual. It's about making the most of the opportunity you have as a football player and making sure you sustain yourself even beyond your football career if you're privileged enough to have one. And it comes with education, and that education has to come from a very, very tender age. Things as simple as physiotherapy are things that are lacking from back home. Our young players don't even know what it means. All we do is just get some hot water on a cake, get this, and it's affecting us. A lot of our players. I was privileged to do something with the group of physiotherapists that come from Africa, seeking some form of reunion with the European counterparts. And one of the major things we talk about was bringing physiotherapy, merging the European and the African together that way, because a lot of us get to that sort of top age when we get to Europe before we now start discovering a lot of things. And it shouldn't be like that. We need to be exposed to these things from the grassroots. So it's a lot we can talk about.
Okay, and again, I mean, what we're still doing is looking at the challenges you're having and the opportunities you're having. I mean, you talked a little bit there about Europe. I know that you've been kind of involved with David Doherty, who we've had the pleasure to sit down with in Team Nigeria UK. What's your take on what he's trying to do? I mean, you're coaching yourself at Wolverhampton Wanderers, so you must come across a number of players in diaspora who are of talent and maybe could contribute within their age group back to Nigeria. What do you think of what Team Nigeria UK is up to and how well that is going?
I must commend Mr. David Doherty. He's doing a wonderful job because, I mean, it's something, well, I think I'm doing just a part bit of what he's doing in entirety. It's a huge responsibility. And the main thing, I'm very, very sure, I've spoken to Mr. David a few times, the main thing is to get as many of the street, get them involved in what they can do, what they are passionate about, and actually educate them that they can be somebody without actually having to carry a gun or a knife.
I mean, you're right, and that is an interesting thing, because even though you're talking about some of the challenges which you're facing with your academy in Nigeria, it's quite interesting to see that even in diaspora, there's some issues of perception and misperception that sometimes go. Let me ask you, I want to move away a bit now from grassroots and focus really. I mean, you talked there first about Wolverhampton Wanderers and your coaching. I mean, what level coaching badge are you now? What routes? Is there anybody from the NFF or any other Nigerian club or whatever looking at what you're doing as a coach and maybe trying to bring that into the national structure or club structure back in Nigeria?
At this present point in time, I mean, I've not spoken to anybody, and I've not done that because I think I've got a long way to go myself. I've only just retired. I've got my UEFA A license. I'm trying to start my pro anytime soon, and that's the way I want to work my way up. I still have loads of courses to do. It's education. You can grasp as many as you can to sort of prepare yourself for what is to come ahead. I don't think the time is now to speak to them. Of course, it's good for them to know that if I can sort of help in whatever way possible, it's my country. I want the best for the country anytime, any day, and I want to be a part of the progress when the time comes. But right now, it's a developmental stage for me, if you like.
No, I appreciate that, and by all means, I mean, I'm not suggesting that you're ready to take over from Stephen Keshi tomorrow, but what I am asking is that, I mean, you mentioned that you're your UEFA license. So we know, for instance, you look at CAF countries, it's still a rarity. Nigeria's obviously done it again, but it's still a rarity in CAF countries to have a home-based coach, a coach from your country, and they talk about the benefits of taking UEFA licenses or foreign exposure. But when you made the decision to take your UEFA license, did you sit down and look at what the CAF licenses were and compare, or have you not done that yet? And if you did do that, what was missing in the CAF licensing that made you take the UEFA courses?
Yeah, it was very, very interesting. You're touching on that again. Hey, I remember I was in the studio a few months back, and we talked at length about having a platform whereby the UEFA certificate will be merged or will be compared to our African license. And the sooner we did that, the better, because I mean, if we find a lot of our players applying their trade abroad, in Europe especially, there needs to be some sort of marriage between the UEFA license and the African and the CAF licenses, such that when these players come back to play for the national team, even when they get handled by our indigenous coaches, we're sort of speaking from the same language. We're singing from the same hymn sheet, if you like.
Seyi, let me push you to be more specific. You said there should be some sort of marriage or some sort of interwoven nature of it. In what area specifically do you think is the greatest need to either have UEFA sharing with CAF or possibly UEFA learning from some of the challenges within CAF to modify their own courses?
Yeah, well, the football game is a very, very beautiful one. But that said, the way the Europeans do things at this present point in time, I think the pace at which they are going is very much higher than ours. And if we can't get to catch them, at least we could get a little bit closer. We could get a bit of help from them that way. Of course, Africa will always be Africa. We are very, very unique in the way we do our things, and Africa is a beautiful continent. But with regards to modern game, especially with the bulk of our players playing their trade in Europe, I think it becomes essential to sort of marry that certificate, whatever you're getting, the UEFA with the CAF one, such that playing for your country, play for your club in Europe, and going back to play for your country in Africa, you're not missing much. I don't know how to explain that.
No, I do get your point in terms of it. I mean, what I was hoping for was maybe some specific examples. You mentioned physiotherapy before, so player management, training management. Maybe, I mean, anybody who's gone into a hospital in this country, in the UK, knows that there are lots of doctors.
You're very, very spot on. It's not just it's just on the coaching aspect of things. We're talking about. I just spoke about physiotherapy a while ago, that there's some group of guys, wonderful guys, coming together from Africa, from Ghana, from Nigeria, from all over Africa, trying to get some sort of cooperation and collaboration such that the European physiotherapy gets to merge with the African, do a lot of research and all that. It was wonderful. And those are the sort of things we're talking about. It's not so much, it's not just the coaching. It's got to be everything football has to offer, the media side of things, a lot of things.
So we'll carry on with that when we see you after the break. Okay, welcome back to the conversation. You've mentioned that you're coaching at the moment in the British football system. You're coaching at Wolverhampton Wanderers, an age group coach. Firstly, before we look at the larger challenges of black and minority coaches in European football, just in terms of Wolverhampton alone, within that club, is there a pathway for you to advance, maybe coach a senior team, coach a reserve team? Is there a structure that you can see, and you can see how you can develop your skills and your experience within Wolverhampton Wanderers?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, let me clarify a few things. The first of which is my coaching badges and coaching at the moment is not because I necessarily want to be a manager or a coach. I think I see myself more as an admin person, your sport director, your technical director someday. But to get to that sort of ladder, you need to be an instructor now. You need to have gone through everything. I mean, almost all the things that the people you'll be instructing will be going through at the time. That's why I'm doing it. It's a pathway. It's not because I see myself more as a manager someday. I see myself in the admin building, really. Like I said, I still have a lot of development to do. I have a lot of courses to do to sort of get myself prepared. But nothing prepares you more than being in the actual building and doing the day-to-day thing. True.
So, okay, then let's look at it generally then. No, maybe not so much focus on you. And the reason why I picked this up is that we had Florent Mbengue, you might have missed it, about 2 or 3 months ago, bemoaned the fact that as an African at AFCON, as a manager, he felt isolated. And what he actually linked it to was the fact that in European football, whether it's ex-players or current players who've played and stayed within the system, he just didn't feel that even with the top leagues in France or in England especially, there were enough black coaches, even where it's a case of a player like yourself who's played in the system and has become a cult figure at any club who's given that opportunity. And he felt that if European football wasn't going to do that, unfortunately, there's still that culture in Africa where what's seen as good in Europe is what we want and we don't develop our own. So he felt that until Europe was able to put more black coaches forward, it would be very difficult for African countries, Nigeria accepting, though we've had Clemens Westerhoff in Nigeria, we've had Milutinov in Nigeria, and these were game-changing coaches. But you look at Avram Grant in Ghana, and he has a broader remit than just the national team, and maybe that happens in 1 or 2 other countries that we're not focused in. I want to ask you, do you think that that's a realistic problem, that it's the absence of ex-players like yourselves as black minority ethnic players in Europe taking forefront leading positions, whether it's off the pitch like Mike Emenalo at Chelsea or within the coaching system? Do you think that that's actually creating a problem back in African football?
Oh, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that as Africans, as African players, I think there's a lot to us that can be brought to the fold, and unfortunately, we have talents, and everything dies on the field of play. Again, I'm going to go back to education, and when I talk about education, a lot of people hear me talk about education. Education is not just going to school; it's about preparing yourself for whatever you want to do after football. I don't think a lot of us have that platform. I said something in the program we had, myself and Seyi, the last time, about CAF organizing, setting up a committee, if you like, to have this forum where we can meet as African players, those that are still playing. What are you going to do? What is the education like your normal PFA here? Okay. And there's nothing wrong. The bulk of our players that played back at home. They play in Europe, so there's nothing wrong stopping CAF or countries setting up a committee of a few guys that say, you know what, this and this and this is what I've gone through. Have ex-players in there. Charity, they say, begins at home. We are in a great position as ex-players to sort of impact the lives of those that are just coming. But we need to help ourselves to start with.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Players struggle. You know, I'm sort of digressing now. I've got so much of my input.
No, let's just say if it wasn't a passionate issue, then we wouldn't be talking about it, of course. But let's, the truth is, we will talk about it for too long. And I think you're right. Somebody from CAF needs to probably be here and explain what they plan to do. But let's then take it away let's just wrap up a little bit. I had the chance a couple of weeks ago when the NFF were in London signing their deal with Nike. I had the chance to sit down with Stephen Keshi to ask him a few questions about, obviously it was a long, protracted affair before he came back. Just ask him about his plans, the new atmosphere at the NFF under Pinnock, and to see how optimistic he was moving forward. For you as an ex-professional, as an ex-Super Eagle, yourself as an ex-hero, or current hero, but an ex-icon, part of the team, what are the challenges for Keshi you see as far as players, and what are the challenges you see at the top end of Nigerian football to restore the Super Eagles back to where they can expect to qualify for AFCONs and be there in the final four finals of any competition they enter?
Yeah, well, to be a big challenge for someone like Stephen Keshi. The only thing he's got going for him at the moment is the fact that he's been there a few years. He knows the players he's going to be inviting. He knows how to run around the team. He knows the politics that come with the football and with the position he occupies. Other than that, it's just everything is just geared towards his failure, really, because other African nations started preparing for the next one as soon as they were out of the last African Cup of Nations, and we were there. It was just a question of, do we want Keshi, do we not want him? With the president getting involved in his election and selection, whatever you want to call it, it's just shambles, in my opinion. The sooner we get our acts together, I said it time and time again. Football is a very, very unique. It's a unique sport, and until we start treating it that way, we're going to keep going around in circles. It's going to be the same thing. I'm not against any foreign managers coming into the country. What we're telling these guys, that's where your technical director comes in. That's where your sport director comes in. What are the philosophies of the nation itself? Now, if you have a particular philosophy of how you want to go about things, how you want to achieve results, are you bringing a manager to come and fit into that particular philosophy? Or are you giving them the free hand to say, you know what, you just go and get us the result. We don't care how you do it. Because that is a short fix. He's going to do that. He's going to go away. Another one come and we start all over again.
Okay. Well, you know what, Seyi? I'm going to say now, Stephen Keshi has half the passion you've just shown. I think the Super Eagles will be all right. Seyi Olufanjana, thank you very much for being on today's show.
Thank you very much for having me again.
Okay. On that note, at this point, I usually ask you to follow us on Twitter and Facebook, but this time I'm also asking you to follow Team Nigeria UK, post your opinions, queries, and be supportful. See you soon with Africa's Sporting Conversation.